Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of Reckless, a Talk, our TTRPG interview show where we sit down with some of our favorite writers, players, GMs, and streamers to get to know a little bit more about what makes them who they are. I am, as always, your host, GM Nathan, and this was a really scary episode for me. I pride myself on being prepared for all of our talks, and today's episode was tough because I got to talk to prolific and excellent TTRPG performer, writer, and designer Austin Taylor, who you will learn through this interview does so much stuff. Austin has worked in a ton of big name and or familiar indie tabletop productions. He has written monster info for MCDM's monster book, Flea Mortals, performed in former Reckless Talk spotlighted shows Transplanar and Strix U, among many others, worked on the upcoming Kids in Capes game, and lots of other things. They also managed to just be a really lovely, thoughtful, and charismatic person on the side. She and I talk about making spaces for yourself and others, labels, choosing characters that choose optimism, lessons learned as a therapist, making connections, and gardening. And the usual caveat of, well, so much more. Austin was a real joy to have on, and this one is filled with tons of personality and laughter. That's basically it for me. If you enjoy the episode, please go check out some of our other Reckless Talk interviews and maybe even our actual play episodes that this is woven in between. And as always, be sure to check the show description to find links to all the cool and good stuff Austin does, as well as the random nonsense we talk about through the conversation. And with that, I'll see you next time. Hi, Austin.
Hello.
Just super casually sliding in, saying hello. Normal start to a normal podcast episode. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
No, I'm not doing well. I was going to say I'm doing well. I'm doing excellently because I'm very excited to have you, very excited to be talking to you, and just kind of anticipating the lovely chat that we were hopefully about to have. Now I'm immediately feeling pressure that I've put on myself, I guess. But Austin,
be good.
Thank you for being here. It's so exciting. Could you please, for those fools who are not familiar with you, what you do, could you tell them who you are, your pronouns, where they might know you from, all that good stuff?
Yeah, my name is Austin. My pronouns are he, they, she. Austin Taylor, I guess, is my whole name. You can find me on whichever social media is in charge right now.
Yeah.
As you listen to this. At Sailor Scott Austin, at Sailor SCT Austin. You may think, how could you predict that future, Austin? Who knows when I'm listening to this? It's because whenever a new social media pops up, which feels like every day right now, I go get my username.
Yep.
I may not do anything else. I'm just like, this one's mine, and then I leave. I am an award-winning game writer, designer, performer, and friend, currently nominated for an Emmy.
Yep.
As of this recording, when you're listening to this, they may have already been handed out.
Right. Yeah. I think because Ennies will be next weekend or this weekend. Oh my God. Either way, it'll be out. You may be an any award-winning performer, but
I may be any award-winning. Yeah.
But you are all over the place. Is the point?
And I do a lot
and do all the things very well. As a writer, as a performer, on Transplanar. For those eagle-eared listeners. For Connie Chung, who was on earlier on the show, and Strix U, also friend of the show, Lexi McQueen running. So there's been a lot of overlap, a lot of Venn diagram of me being like, there's Austin. I'll talk to her at some point. That'll be good. I'll wait. I'll bide my time. I'll wait in the weeds, and then I will finally pounce. And here we are. And I'm again couldn't be more excited. But Austin, you do so much, right? You're everywhere. If there is a tabletop activity to be doing, you are doing it professionally at a high level. But that's we don't start with that on this show. No. We go back to the beginning. We get into the core of our various guests. So for you, I'll ask the kind of bog standard question of how did you get involved and introduced to tabletop role-playing games or just nerdy stuff, kind of what was the core memory for you as you started on the trajectory that is the rocket ship Austin?
If you want to know just nerdy stuff, it's age 5.
Hell yeah.
For just being into nerd culture and nerd stuff, it is age 5. So it is 1996, 1997. I always forget how that works. As we all know, it's the 90s, and Sega is making everyone lick their shoes. They're just dominating the video game market. No one can touch them. Nintendo tries taking them to the literally Congress over it. It's a whole mess. This is a different podcast going into that. But like many people, my mom had a Sega Genesis because she had one before I was born, because she was through like the late 80s and 90s. She was like in college. So like other college age people, they're like, oh, the Sega Genesis is cool. It's not the dusty old Nintendo.
Right. Does what Nintendo don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She got a Sega like you do with your adult money in the 90s when you have all this spendable income.
Mm-hmm.
And so she introduced me to Sonic the Hedgehog on her Sega Genesis. So that's like my first nerd thing that kind of like led to me being into video games and
stimuli,
movies, blah, blah, blah. In terms of tabletop games, it's like way later.
Yeah.
I was 22 because I was still in grad school. So 22, I think. So I had tried to play tabletop games a few times before this. I tried playing a D&D game at an anime convention. The adventure was stopping evil, savage orcs.
Right. Okay.
And I was like, this feels weird. And so I left. Like I made my character, but then I left. And then I played a friend's, I don't think it was Starfinder was out yet. I think it was a Pathfinder first edition game that they were modding to be like a sci-fi game. Like I don't think Starfinder was out.
I don't think so. By that age, I don't think.
Since I've gotten really into the hobby, like Starfinder's just existed. So I'm like, I don't know.
Got it.
I don't know not Starfinder existing. So then I was finally 22. So like now we're at 22. And a friend was starting a new D&D game because 5th edition had like just come out.
Yep.
I had never played D&D, so it didn't really matter to me.
Yep.
And it was like, yeah, we're going to play and like figure it out together. Because like all these other people had like played in campaigns together for like years and years, like 6 years. And I was like, sure, I've always wanted to play. So that's like my first long running campaign, long running game in the tabletop space.
How long was that one? And were you the only new person like jumping into this kind of established group of folks?
Yeah, I was the only new person. And I had like hung out with some of them. Had played Magic the Gathering with some of them and stuff, but I never like played tabletop with them. That campaign lasted, including some stops, like 2 years, I want to say, maybe 3.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
So it was a lot of fun. It was like their original homebrew road, because like 5th edition has come out. There wasn't like a lot of, there weren't like, I think the only adventure out was like the Tiamat adventure at the time because it had just come out.
Right. Oh yeah, fresh.
So it was a lot of fun. It was like that Danny DeVito gif, like, I get it.
The heavens opened up for you. You transcended space and time a little. Yeah.
Yeah, I had never done anything like that with people. I didn't know, because like growing up, I didn't have like the computer. I didn't have a computer or like internet. So I didn't do like MMORPG stuff with people. I was on forums because you could get on like at school or at the library. So I did like some forum RP, but I never like played a game and like told a story with people. And tabletop was like way different than any video game that can do it. You can just like get a similar effect when you like people are playing City of Heroes or like World of Warcraft or like other games where like there's a story, but you could like RP with your friends if you wanted to too and see whatever you wanted was actually happening.
Right.
And so I was just like hooked, and it was so interesting because I distinctly remember like I was hooked, and I was the one like I made like memes for the campaign, and I'm like posting like theories and all this stuff in like the Facebook group. Just
dream player. Just you went in and you're like, I have this. I am all enthusiasm. I am all in. What a gift.
I was so excited, and I remember other people like they were excited, but like it wasn't their first time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, absolutely. We all get jaded. That's why the beauty of a new player is that they're holy shit. You mean I can just go over to this table and push it over if I want to? That is the greatest thing that I've ever heard in my entire life. Yeah.
the discrepancy of like, they're like, yeah, that was a lot of fun. And I was like, no, you don't understand. When are we playing next?
What did grab you? Like, what part of it? Was it anything in particular? Was it the whole thing? The whole thing is a very reasonable answer. But is there anything looking back now that was like, oh yes, I'm going to make this my whole thing for a while?
It's just like such a unique way to play a game.
Mm-hmm.
So like, I enjoyed the game part. Like, I enjoyed, like, I'm a weirdo. I consider myself like in the like tabletop industry sometimes, because I feel like there's been a shift to like very narrative play, which I do enjoy, especially when I'm performing. Like, that works way better for like entertaining people. When I'm playing at home, I'm like, yeah, I want the little map and I want to move my little guy, and I'm like, I can move this many. If I do this, I have this ability. Okay, so and then I like doing all the little math, and I want all the little bits, and I want to like plan out my move, and then it's my turn, and I'm like, yeah, so I move 10 feet, and then I like hit this guy, and then with this ability, pops off and I can teleport 20 feet so I can get to this guy. And then I have 20 feet of movement left because I only moved 10 feet. So I can go to this NPC that we're trying to save and get in front of. You know, I want to do all that.
Absolutely. Yep. My eyes, like, they didn't cross, but like I like blacked out and was like sent to other campaigns where that was the case. It was just so vivid and familiar to me.
Yeah. So I enjoyed that aspect of like the combat, because I was it was base 5th edition, so I was like the Monster Slayer Ranger.
Yeah.
Because my friend said that was the best one in like the book. And I was like, I really want a buddy, and they're like, well, the buddy one's bad. They're like, don't pick the buddy one. I will just give you a buddy at some point.
Right, you're right. Got it. Experienced, good DM. Yep.
So I was the Monster Slayer one. So it was cool because it was like when you like hit something and you hit something else, you get like a free third attack on a third different target, and if you like fell something, you could like move 10 feet towards a new target. And so I was like, yeah,
just whirling and like just being just bouncing between everyone and killing everything, and
exactly,
doing all the fun finicky bits that you were looking for. Yeah
it was a lot of fun. I mean, I was very traditional. Like, my first character was a wood elf. They were from a They had no clan. They're like, they didn't know where their family was.
Check.
I did like cool flips. I was the one like trying to harvest every monster. My friend's like, this is a Monster Hunter, and I was like, what's Monster Hunter? Because I hadn't played it. And I was like, what if it was Monster Hunter? And they're like, fine. So I had like armor and weapons made from like all the stuff we had fought.
And it scratched all the itches, is what you're saying. Is the point?
Yeah.
So I'm always interested. It is always jumping in and saying, I like this thing, and now I'm going to do it for people outside of my life, for strangers on the internet. is such a wild choice for anyone to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so when did that opportunity enter kind of into your life? And did you kind of have any initial thoughts about it and kind of initial feelings about, hey, this is something I'm interested in doing, or something, maybe, I guess I'll try it?
It was, I want to say 2019. The first stream I was ever on was on a channel that I think is no longer around, called Heroes Without Limits.
Yeah, I think I remember the name at least.
And I don't remember the name of the show, like, at all.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried finding it recently just to like see how different, like, even just like I was in like a different room and like I was like, I just had like a headset mic. Things were so different. I've been on Twitter for a little bit, and I wasn't really in the tabletop space. I came into Twitter and I was mostly in like comics and like just follow like random like news people, and that was really all I did. And I like had slowly started collecting tabletop people because I knew all the big people, right? And I followed those accounts because I'm like, well, I do like D&D, and I do like, and I knew some other games because I'm friends with Adam Vass, who runs World Championship Gaming Company. It's like I follow Adam. It's like through Adam, I saw like other smaller-minded projects, like indie-minded projects.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, like, the Heroes Without Limits thing came in my orbit, like, slowly following people. And I have been thinking about, like, performing could be cool. I've been playing I've been like running games, and I've been like playing in a game that felt like, I was like, I'm doing some good IP. I think I could do it.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing for me was like, because I only knew of Rivals of Waterdeep in terms of like that seemed high profile. and had like more than just white people there.
Yeah. I mean, 2019, that I'm not going to say that was the option, but it was pretty close to the option, at least at the kind of successful visible tier,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, and that's how it felt. And I was like, I want to start performing, so like maybe I can do that one day. And I was like, I'm not an actor, because like, like the big like CR, like they're all voice actors, so they like act.
Yep.
But I was like, what was Wally? They all talk. They're just like people. They like to play, and they're all industry professionals. They're like writers or editors or some other form of professional in the industry. But I'm like, but they're not. None of them are like, I'm a trained actor. Like, okay, maybe I could like start doing this and like just get better at it. And so it's purely that. I was like, I want to do it and then see someone like me. And then for a while it was that. And so like my first stream, like I was the only person of color. So I was like, well, I'm glad I'm here. And then my first one that felt big or important to me, like for me, was called Waverly Summer. Waverly Summer is set the year that Blade and Mulan came out, because my character was like a pop culture.
Yeah, got it.
We were teenagers. We played the Bubble Gumshoe system, so it was also my first like not big name TTRPG show. I was like, I've never heard of this system. This is so cool. You can do what? There's other games that people like play on streams, because that happened during the lockdown.
Yeah.
And during lockdown was when I like really drilled in. I played this like pop culture lover named Leon.
Yep.
Me, Austin just knows a lot.
Right. Yes, definitely.
I knew that Blade and Mulan came out very close to each other. Within a week. I don't think it was the same weekend. My character, that was like played that up a lot of like wanting to see both movies.
Yeah. The Barbenheimer of its day. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We were like teenagers investigating our weird town that like everyone knows is haunted, but no one talks about, but like weird stuff is happening. And then it turned out there's like the Fae realm was like crossing over into ours. And that was my first one where I was like, I'm good at this.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I can do this. That was like I like one really good session. I was like, I can do it. Maybe not every session, but I can do this. And so that was my first like, I like doing this. And also, I was told to stay in my house indefinitely. So who knows when I'll get out.
I got some time and space to do this thing. Was there anything, another kind of interesting question that always pops in my head when talking about this kind of stuff with folks. Was there something then that you not just like, oh, cool, this is fun, and I was there, I was present, I was contributing. Was there something like, was there a moment that you look back on and be like, and then I delivered this line, or I made this choice, or I had this great scene with this person that sticks with you? Or is it just you kind of walked away and said, wow, I feel really good about that, and took off from there?
There's a scene. So our characters have made their way to the Fae realm. And again, we're like normal kids. Bubblegum Shoe, you're like a normal kid. You don't have powers. You're a normal, I cannot stress enough, you're like a normal teenager.
Yeah, it's like Scooby-Doo level. You are teens solving mysteries. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we're there, and we requested audience with the queen, who accepted because we were guests technically, even though we snuck in. And so we were like pleading to her to like, please don't obliterate our town and put your court there. Could you do something else? And I was like nominated by the group in game to like be the one to like speak for us. And I wrote a speech. We like went to break, and then I wrote a speech during the break, and I cannot find it. Like I thought I kept it somewhere. And since that happened, like I've switched offices in my house, and so like there's always in the back of my mind, like, well, maybe one day when we like, if I ever like move out of this house and pack up everything, it'll like turn up. Yeah. But I wrote a speech on like scrap paper I had at my desk. And I remember how it started like, we humble children of Waverly was like how it started. Yeah. And I like wrote it, and then I read it in character. And then I was like, damn, that was good.
And that was that. And you went from there. So was that, how long running of a game was that?
It was over the course of one summer. I think it was about 12 episodes. Like I think it was like almost a whole summer. Yeah. It was a really good time. I was like really connected to those people. I talk to most of them still. Like I mean, like one of my friends now is like in Australia because they were on that show. Like total happenstance. Like if I had not signed up to play that game, like I wouldn't have this friend that's halfway across the world coming to visit me in October.
Oh, cool.
Now, like 3 years later.
Right. Yeah. But now that you can move freely between countries again. Yeah. So that timeline, and I can't remember exactly, but that must have taken you pretty close to Transplanar times, right? Is that right? My memory is telling me that it was like late 2020 or early 2021, like the Transplanar. Like I feel like that show launched a year-ish before we did, or something along those lines. So how smooth of a kind of transition was it from that?
That sounds right to me. I actually wasn't on Transplanar when it started, though.
Oh,
I was just a fan.
Of course.
It was so fun. It was really fun being on Transplanar. Like I love Transplanar. It's been great for me as a performer. It's been great to be part of the Transplanar family. It was so fun to get added to, like, because I was a fan.
Yeah.
And then me and Banana Chan, who I've worked with a few times, we're just on Twitter talking. So there was it's like public. Like Matt Mercer had like been tapped to play someone in like someone's TTRPG show, and he was going to play an Asian character.
Yeah, I vaguely remember. Yeah.
Once like Matt wasn't online, it was like the weekend. And so like when Monday rolled around, Matt Mercer was online and like said something about it. And it was, which made sense to me. I was like, no one that busy is going to be on this website on the weekend if he doesn't have like something to promote.
Yeah. May we all have that level of success and blessing in our life to be able to be like, this weekend, I'm good. Let's step away. I don't need it.
So Monday he came on and he was like, it was like a smaller show and he was helping out a friend. He told them he'd play whatever they needed, like to help out. And he was only going to play. But me and Banana were talking about like, wow, it's really weird that someone might, we were talking about what was going on when it was happening.
Yeah.
And we were like, someone put us on your show so we can talk about this. And then Connie reached out and had us on Transplanar's channel to do like a little talk show round robin about like, playing someone that isn't your like human race, what that means. Should you do it for TTRPGs, blah, 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 blah. I like knew of Connie and I knew of Transplanar, but I hadn't watched. And I was like, so I started watching. I was on a one-shot they hosted. And it was really cool. And it was one of those things that I was like, well, maybe when they finish this campaign, I'll get to join the cast. And then Connie reached out, I want to say towards the end of 2021, for me to be on the show starting in 2022. Be like a new cast member for the second half of the series of campaign 1. It was a blast and a half.
and yeah, we don't we have so much to fucking talk about that we can't go too in depth of stuff, but just because you'd already kind of talked about it and kind of your first conception and impression of the TTRPG space, right, was like, well, there's Rivals of Waterdeep that is not just a group of usually cis white people. Yeah. And then to be on Transplanar, which is aggressively, diverse and aggressively not that. And I know that that's also something that you prioritize a lot in the work that you do, in the opportunities you take, in the stuff that you are promoting and that kind of stuff. This feels like jumping to the end of the interview a little bit, but just because it is convenient to talk about now. What has that meant for you? Again, not necessarily just Transplanar itself, but I'm sure that's a part of it, but just of kind of quote unquote starting in the space when that wasn't present, that wasn't big at all. None of the big shows were any amount of diverse, or barely any, not to erase Rivals of Waterdeep, to now where there are several bigger ones and you have been a part of them and you can see them, and you are now in a place where you have and can and will continue to kind of advocate and make that happen and make it more diverse. Is that something that you feel, that you kind of can reflect on, or that you can at least now say, yes, things have changed, or things are different, or things are not different, or whatever? Do you have just kind of a sense of the time passing in the last 3 to 4 years, and your ability to sit at those kind of tables and what that means for you?
I go back to, you ask about notice time passing. I go back to Waverly Summer because one of my favorite quotes I said in that as Leon is, time is fake.
Yep.
It's one of my favorite quotes I've said. It's one of the only gifts that exist as me in the TTRPG space.
Oh, cool.
I use it all the time because I don't really notice it I do a lot of leadership stuff outside of this space. And I've been like looking at the idea of doing more, but I'm like as we talked, I'm busy. And so I don't want to be a bad leader.
Yeah.
Like I've done a lot outside of this space. I used to help run the zine community in my area. I used to run like clubs in college. I like established like I think it's defunct now, but I'm no longer in charge, but like I established like a conference with one of our sister cities in the city I live in, of like international sister city. Like I've done a lot of leadership stuff, but I've never thought about it from the game's perspective. Like I feel like I've been lucky to be a part of a lot. Like I got to be part of Transplanar. I got to be part of Strix U. I'm friends with Jess, who runs like Utopia.
Right. Yep.
I'm like very lucky, I feel like. And then I definitely see myself as like, I want to like get there and hold the door open for more people to keep coming.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But I've never considered what you said, which is a very cool thing you've made me consider.
Boom. Great. Nathan won the interview. Check.
Yeah.
Success. That's what I want to hear. We'll have to edit some stuff out. Great. Perfect.
No, it is pretty awesome just to like notice the change, and it's so interesting getting here right like at the shift.
Yes,
because I got here like right at the shift, because I feel like some people are coming in now, and now it's like more standard when you're like applying for a show and you see like marginalized voices prioritized. Do you feel comfortable self-identifying with anything? You don't have to, but just like as a blanket statement for all to know, like that's something we consider as important.
Yes,
and if you'd like to share, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. And again, going back to like the first show I was on, and I'm like, as far as my memory recalls, I was the only person of color on the permanent cast.
Yeah.
There was another person of color that like started with the show, but I don't know if it was school or like something like held them back, because they were on a few episodes and then they weren't there anymore. And I think they were removed from like the permanent cast list. And it was like, if you get time, you can come back kind of thing. Just to now, I can't think of a table I've been at in like the last year, maybe 2. Memory gets foggy at 2 years.
What I wonder why that is. 2 years ago, what was happening? Like every day was kind of the same. I don't know. Maybe it'll come to me. I'm not sure.
So like I can't really think of a time that was like where I was the only person of color at a table, or even where like the table was majority white since that first game. Because then I was on Waverly Summer, and that one was half and half. Like the GM was white, and then 2 players were white, and then 3 players were people of color. And then like after that, like I can't think of a time it wasn't at least that like Waverly Summer was, if not majority non-white people were playing. And
I think maybe the easier version of the question that I asked was because that was something immediately that stood out to you, right? Of these tables are not diverse. This groups aren't. Hey, those orcs from that original adventure feel a little icky. I don't much care for it. I think I'm going to take this character and go. Yeah, I appreciate it. See you later. Maybe, again, the easier question in some ways, or the more straightforward question is probably the word I should use. How does that affect your experience at a table? Or I don't want to say why is that important? Because hopefully to anyone listening to the show, it is important. You should know it is important to have diverse people at your table. But for you as a player, as a designer, as a game runner, all that stuff, how does that shift the experience for you, if at all?
It is like a different energy is the best I can say. So like when I worked on Deimos Academy with Banana Chan, which is it's a GM-less horror coloring book role-playing game. It's still in production. I'm not the publisher. I believe that's the last email I got. I'm not. I was like, I handed it off, and I was like, goodbye. Have fun.
You've done your part of it. Yep.
Like we were working on that. We just like some of our brainstorming sessions and like going over influences and media touchdowns and stuff. It's just like this like seamless conversation you can have. It's almost like there's like nonverbal cues. It's like that, but something else that's like, I don't know how to explain it.
Totally. That's very, very reasonable.
But it is like a different sort of interaction. I think of also like when I was on Strix U. I still remember the first cast meeting we had. That wasn't even like we weren't recording. We were just like sessions. I don't even know if it was session 0. It was almost like a pre-session 0, because I think we never got to session 0 stuff. We did. Lexi did one day give us a session 0, everybody. Don't hound Lexi. Right. We did have a session 0, but I think...
Lexi, in case you're listening, fucking... Called out.
Lexi, leave my character alone. Lamar did nothing wrong. There was like a pre-session 0, and we just like, it was just such a different sort of energy to be there than like any other cast we've been a part of. And I know
Sure.
that Us All Being Black was like a part of that. Like I know it. And we all talk about it, and it's just so different. So, like having the reverse table, it's like there's a different way to like coalesce to each other and like connect and relate that like you just don't get otherwise, because it's like this unspoken third language, I guess, because you have like verbal communication and non-verbal communication, and then secret third thing. It's like this secret third thing that you get to have with these people that like,
Yeah,
I don't know if anyone can explain it, but I can't.
totally. So I kind of want to do the awkward step back once more of like, cool, we found one topic and then we just bored a hole into the center of the earth. And then now we got to take a breath and come back up. Like I've said probably too many times already in the interview, is you do a lot of stuff.
Yes,
Again,
correct.
You write, you design, you perform, you run, you do one shots, you're all over the place, and also are just active online and tweeting good takes about comic books and stuff like that all the time. And I'm also always interested in you do a ton, and you do it again at a very high level and a very visible level. Do you have a kind of self-identifier for yourself in the tabletop space? Not necessarily when you're introducing yourself on a podcast promoting something, but in your heart of hearts or in your brain, where, yeah, sure, I write, sure, I perform, sure, I do XYZ things, but like really this is all an extension of this one core identity? Or is it more complex and you're just kind of exploring all the different parts of creativity and tabletop with all this cool stuff you're doing?
Yeah, so I go back and forth because sometimes I say storyteller.
Yeah.
But that has a certain kind of energy that I don't.
the side eye that you gave while saying a certain energy was.
Yeah, I don't know if that fits for me. No shame to anyone else who's it, but I'm like, I don't know. Like when I say it, it feels like, and I don't know if I like entertainer either, because I don't. Like I said, I'm not an actor.
Right.
I think I'm a very good RPG performer. I think I'm quite like I have a comedy pop culture podcast. I think I'm quite funny on that.
Right.
The level of like entertainer, I would say I am. And this isn't even like accurate because all the people on this are like, I'm like, I could be really good on like dropout content, but then again, most of those people are trained actors or improvers or both.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I don't know if I'd be good, but I think I'd be good.
Yeah. That's half I would say that's more than half the battle at that point. I feel like.
I don't see myself as an entertainer and like I would ever be like on screen for like a TV show or movie sort of acting, but I could be like on Dropout, which is still like, I guess some sort of performing, but like very different in my brain.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're also designing, you're also doing like you're crunching numbers. You're like, it doesn't even, at least from me as an outsider, is like, that doesn't obviously that if you truly boil it down, that fits a lot of stuff. But again, it doesn't even fit all the stuff you're doing because it's all, to me, and that's what made preparing for this interview kind of difficult, is I could go to Lexi or Connie and be like, so you run games and sometimes you write games, but let's talk about like those couple main things.
Yeah.
And then, for you, it's like, well, you do all the parts of the hobby, including promoting, including writing, including designing. So I was really curious. And I guess kind of the next question then is not necessarily in a self-identifier kind of way, but in a scratching the creative itches of your brain way. Do they all feel like versions of the same thing where you're like, I'm doing tabletop, and that scratches my brain in a certain way. And these are just different ways to kind of express myself through tabletop? Or is it that kind of thing where I like to write, and here's a way I'm writing in the tabletop thing, and I like to perform, and that's a very different energy and, kind of expression? What's your relationship to your art?
Yeah.
Gross.
They are different. Because when I perform, it scratches the same kind of thing of like doing RP and like doing RP like off camera, even though like a lot of my games are still on camera because they're online now, but like doing stuff like not in the public eye versus in the public eye look very different, very, very, very different. They still give me the same sort of like good feeling mojo.
Sure. Yeah, right. Yeah, dopamine is still present.
But writing is writing is writing. Usually if I'm like, I like to write and design like world building and lore more than I like to like do math. But I am good at math. I did do AP Physics and Calc, and so like I can do math. I'd rather not. So my day job is being a therapist. I don't talk about that a lot, but you'd be shocked how much statistics and research you take to be a therapist.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so I can do probability scores. I don't want to, but if we need to run probability scores on these dice rolls, like I can do it.
Yeah,
I'd
right.
rather not. Yeah, like designing is like some sort of weird other thing.
Yeah,
but it does it feels like writing for the most part. Like if I'm making an NPC or making a world or making a adventure or like I like thought of several things that are under NDA that I shouldn't say. Or making,
if you're doing other such work,
making other such secret things, it all kind of feels like the same sort of thing. But I mean, I've been writing since 7th grade.
Wow. Well, first of all, what were you writing in 7th grade?
My first foray into writing, besides like stuff for school, my first like creative writing stuff was poetry.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's right. What got you interested in that, I guess? Because again, it could have been any number of things you could have written, but poetry is a particular skill set, especially in, whatever, like 2002 or whatever it would have been at the time, right? Not in any other time period, but yeah. So what about that kind of caught your interest enough as a preteen to like start expressing yourself that way?
It's quite simple, really. Puberty, and there were pretty girls who like poetry.
As soon as I asked it, my brain's like, well, I think I know what my answer would have been. And it was kind of something along those lines.
Yeah, I don't remember. It was like a friend, but I like clearly had a crush. Like looking back, I'm like, I just needed to ask her out. I never did, which is fine. But like, it was like clearly like a different friend had like written a poem for like a girl he liked. And it went well. And I was like, poetry sounds fun suddenly. And so it was because like I feel like a lot of kids go through certain phases, and like some other things have like been drawing, and I couldn't draw whatsoever, even a little bit. And other kids like play music after school, but like my parents weren't together and they both worked, so like I was a latchkey kid, so like after school I was just at school still. Yeah. So I wasn't going to like music lessons or anything. And so it was just sort of like there's other things that people were kind of like going out and trying and stuff. And like poetry was sort of the first one that like someone mentioned that I was like, I could also do that. And also this pretty girl seems to like words. Yeah.
So let's see if we can marry this into one beautiful pursuit.
How can I? And so that's kind of it. But I really took to it. Like a lot of, again, like people wax and wane. I think most of my friends that were like trying it out stopped, and I just never did really. I helped I got praised for it. Like I think it was 7th or 8th grade. I was in like my church's newspaper or something. They had like a contest, and I was like the poem that won. I couldn't tell you the poem.
The winning poem.
Like went out to the neighborhood, so that was cool. And then I wrote my first prose story, 9th grade. I got an A+. I was like in this, my teacher wanted me to like keep writing it. And I think I did a little bit, but it's really fun. I tell this story because it's very funny. Because it was like 115% clearly Aragon fanfic that I just switched the names of about like the next like the generation after the first regenerate. Like it's like the generation after Aragon brings back Dragon Raiders. And this person becomes like half human, half dragon. So it was like weird Aragon / dragon fic. Like I like found it recently. It was written. I was like, man, this is high school smut. They gave this an A. I was
A+.
I was real clever with my wordage. I guess it was vague enough that I didn't know what was happening here. But yeah, I stuck with writing. I kept doing it. I still write poems from time to time just for like private, because I did zines for a while. I did like poetry zines. It was something that I was like, I am okay at this and I could get better at it.
Totally. Yeah. Well, so first I need to take a small time out, and I need to respectfully ask you to quit adding things that I want to ask you about, like poetry zines, onto the pile of shit that I already really want to ask you about. This is nominally a tabletop role-playing game podcast, but it's also about writing and creativity and blah, blah, blah. That was the on-ramp to the actual writing question, I guess, that I have, and the kind of self-expression ones. You tell a lot of stories, right? You perform in them, you make characters for that, you write in a lot of books, and also I know that you consume a lot. I deeply cherish the Austin anime and comic book and movie takes that are out on, again, whatever social media site exists.
Yeah, whatever social media it is, and if the SAG-AFTRA strike is done, I am now talking about movies again. I'm currently not talking about movies or TV shows or struck companies. Their ask of influencers, which do I consider myself an influencer? I don't really know, but I do qualify for influencer under their union. Like I could join the union as an influencer. So that's enough for me to be like, fair, I won't do that.
Yeah, just we'll wait. Exactly. But that is all to say is that you strike me as someone who both puts out a lot of stories, but also consumes a lot of stories and is thoughtful in doing them, right? Is that the reason that I like your takes on those things is not just because you're, oh, hey, she also likes Spy Family. Neat. It's because, you're talking with enthusiasm, or you're critiquing, or you're being thoughtful just generally. So especially now that you're doing it out, very loudly and very publicly and at a high clip, and doing it collaboratively with people, have you noticed themes about the kinds of stories that you either like telling or kind of processing and consuming that that have kind of crystallized, I guess, as you've been just kind of being refined into a storytelling engine over the last handful of years?
Yeah. So I'll talk about things I knew about myself and things I didn't know. Things I knew about myself.
Got it.
My characters don't wear shoes. If I don't mention it, just assume they don't. They don't wear shoes. None of them wear shoes. If one of them wears shoes, I didn't make them. I was told to play this character. And I was told for some reason I had to have them have shoes on.
Got it.
It's a me thing. So it stems from like, I had this one, and I won't tell the whole story, but I had this one like very whirlwind of a summer where I stayed on my college campus. I think it was my sophomore year of college. I like stayed all year. I was like, I'm not going to go home. There's no reason to. Like, when you hit that age, it's like, I could go home for the summer, but why, question mark? Like,
right. Yep.
I was a kid that commuted to school. So like, it wasn't like all my friends were home for the summer. I had more friends up here. I had made friends that were local to my college's area that like already commuted to college. So they were still here. I was like, it just makes sense. I have no reason to go home for summer. So I just started staying year round. I don't like to wear shoes. I wasn't in school that summer. I just stayed in the area, and I just like didn't really wear shoes that summer. I carried a pair of slip-ons in my bag if I wanted to ride the bus, because I wasn't going to just work the bus, or if I wanted to like go into the student union or anything. Like I put shoes on in areas that were like, you got to wear shoes.
Right. Where society has deemed this is a shoes only kind of area.
But outside, in my apartment, because no one really cared there, especially because I was in a college town in summer. If you imagine, it becomes a ghost town when you live on campus. So I just didn't wear shoes. I like went on the walk in the woods with no shoes. I was just like, I don't wear shoes now. And so to this day, like, I don't like to wear shoes. Anytime I can work somewhere where I don't need to wear shoes, it's great. I used to work with kids in like a childhood development center. The kids don't care if you wear shoes. The staff didn't care if you were like literally the only adults who wore shoes in that place I worked were HR staff. And that's how we knew when it was HR coming to talk to us, even if it was someone new, because none of the staff that actually worked with the kids wore shoes. None of the supervisors who worked with the kids we didn't wear shoes. And we hear shoes like, oh, here comes HR. They're coming to tell me I didn't clock out on time or whatever.
Right. My time sheets, et cetera, et cetera.
So that's a me choice about not wearing shoes. I've found I really like to play bimbos, which is also me. I realized it was me after I started seeing the trend.
Got it.
Characters who don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
are trying their best to figure out what's going on. For the life of them, cannot keep track of what's happening, but do care a lot about these people they're with.
Yeah.
And I find that it makes for really good, like, moving plot forward situations in tabletop games, especially on streams, you know, of like, this person that I have made has no idea what anyone is talking about this like big overarching plot. But me, Austin, sees the time and remembers that we need to be in, like, we got to hit our mark.
Yep.
So my character, Austin, what are you doing? Yeah, I can't stress enough. Your girl left like 8 minutes ago because she got confused. She saw like a bird and started following it, and then she was like, "Oh, and I'm like, yeah, there you go. You're welcome."
Right. Well, and they happen to be wandering at the direction of the next plot hook that we're supposed to be getting to. Oops.
Yeah. It's that, and they're always like very big and strong. I like making optimistic characters, which to me feels like part of the bimbo thing. I feel like bimboism is like choosing optimism. You're like choosing. You can know a lot. Like, I have a master's degree, and I still say I'm a bimbo because I know a lot, but I don't know anything about things I don't care about, and I can be naive about them, and I don't want to not be naive about them.
Yeah.
So, like, they choose optimism, they choose positivity. One of my favorite pieces of media that have come out recently was Mugen Train, and I really love the character in Goku. It's a slight spoilers for Mugen Train. Of this, like a tragic or doomed hero sort of thing. I like having characters that think they're that, even if they're not that, even if I ever talk to GM and it's like they're not going to die. You know, like I like emulating this. Like I will push myself beyond, like I'll do anything to like, you won't get past this line. Like I enjoy that sort of like, like ferocious characters.
Yeah. Does that kind of sense of optimism and I'll say values, I guess, does that permeate when you're writing stuff too? You know, when it is like when you're putting a setting together or when you're, you know, XYZ other projects not covered by NDA or vaguely talked about around NDAs. You know, is that something that, you know, are those still important to you at a conscious or subconscious level when you're also writing stuff and putting stuff together or consuming things, or does it differ?
Yeah, no, I mean, I really enjoy, like, here's the line, right? Like, I played in Transplanar, which is like a grim, dark fantasy setting about the apocalypse, right? And so, like, I loved being in that story. I was on a mini series on Vana's channel where I played Apocalypse Keys, which is about like the apocalypse. And so I enjoy playing in grimdark worlds from time to time. I would even play a long form campaign in one, frankly. Like I think it'd be really fun. But I feel like in terms of like when I write, I see enough like bad stuff.
Sure.
That I'm like, I don't need to add more bad stuff. And again, not that like I think Transplanar is a beautiful story. I think the Apocalypse Keys game I played it was a beautiful story. I think Apocalypse Keys is a beautiful game. Everyone play Apocalypse Keys. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with those. So I don't mean to say like they're like bad, negative. Totally. I feel like I have a better tool set to tell more hopeful or more neutral stories than those sorts of stories. Again, like I had a lot of fun playing in Apocalypse Keys. I want to play more. I want to play in some sort of dark Arthurian legend story. That sounds like a ton of fun. Like I would love playing in those stories, but I think when it comes to the writing and designing side, I think I have a better tool set to not build those tools for someone to do that. Even though I made Deimos Academy, which is a horror game.
Well, you know, we as humans contain multitudes. We can, we can write different stuff for different reasons, for sure. So, well, that brings me to another question that I had was, you know, obviously you're doing a lot of stuff kind of your own volition, but also a lot of the things you're working on are very highly collaborative. Whether again you're working on someone else's game, whether you're a player in a show, et cetera, et cetera. You know, the things that you do. As someone who works very hard on, okay, how do I communicate my needs and how do I, you know, kind of identify the needs of others? How do we work together as a group? How do we collaborate? Has doing all the work that you've done in the tabletop space, or just generally, has that kind of honed in on kind of, oh, okay, here's how my brain works, and here's what I need when I'm being creative and working with other people, and here's what I don't need, and here's how I talk to people about all of those needs and stuff?
It's been like a twofold journey. I mentioned a little bit, like my day job is a therapist, which is like a bunch of training and stuff. And so in that, I learned a lot about it because there's a lot of points in your career when you're getting your license where like you work with people, be it in your internship or your practicums when you're working in like a university clinic or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then when I worked in the child development center, same thing, because I was usually on like like I was one of 2 or 3 people for each kid for like their developmental team sort of situation. And so I feel like it's been like a long journey, and it's something I think about often of like, I use the skills I learn in both parts of my life for both parts of my life. And so like through tabletop, I've learned I'm a damn good team player, I think. I'm usually here to have a good time, make other people feel cool. And at most, when I make a character, I probably have like 1 or 2 things that I'm like, I want to do these 2 things. If I don't go to, that's okay. Even 1 is okay. Otherwise, I'm just here to be like, what do you want to do?
Yeah.
So I really like helping others reach their goals in that way. And I just, I don't know, I'm a pretty easygoing communicator. The only things that I'm like, as long as I know everything that's happening.
Sure.
So like in terms of like things I need, like I just need to know what the plan is. I don't do well with like half-baked plan being thrown at me and then not knowing what else to do.
Yeah.
So just like clear upfront communication, and then I'm usually like good to go when it comes to like work stuff.
Part of getting ready for the interview was I watched you and several other designers build the Kids in Capes game
the Kids
on
in Capes
stream.
Yeah. That was really fun.
2-ish years ago or something like that. And that was definitely the impression that I got is you were very collaborative and very like chiming in on things. And so that certainly tracks for me. Another thing that even 2 years ago that really kind of stuck out to me about your contributions to that was not just kind of that like genre savviness of like, okay, what's the fiction we're trying to achieve here, right? Mm-hmm. And how do we get to that? But also you were very thoughtful about a lot of the kind of mechanical considerations that went in, just in terms of, hey, this other game does this, and the way that works makes you feel like this. Are you someone who reads games and rule books like for fun, I'll use air quotes, casually or on the side? Is that something that you do and have kind of a good or a decent handle on, and something that you try to kind of incorporate, or is that just kind of like I've picked it up as I've played things?
I found I do better at tabletop games if I get to play them.
Same, yeah.
So most of those were like I've like played the game, or I had looked at it in preparation for working on Kids in Capes. Like for that one, I like did a lot of like looking at other rule books that I knew were similar, that I could like get a hold of. But at the same time, like I used to play more board games than I do now. I mean, I'm sure that as many people fell out of that hobby when lockdown happened, and I couldn't really play board games, and then it was sort of like, you know, I was spending a lot of money on these board games. Maybe I'm okay because I have several.
Yeah, boy, I got this whole like cabinet is just full only of games, huh? Do I need to keep buying?
Yeah. So it's like, especially because I'm like, I have like 4 that just haven't been played yet through lockdown, and like Kickstarter's fulfilling, and like even though like you can see people a little bit, like it's still just, it's like not a thing in my head like when we hang out, like, oh, let's get that game we have, you know? So, but I would just like, I get a new board game and I go home and I crack it open and I like take out all the bits and I read the rule book. That was like my evening. So I used to do that a lot. Tabletop, it's harder because like a board game rule book, even like Scythe, is only like 20 pages. And then like a tabletop rule book is like 20 pages is like one section.
yeah, right. That's chapter 1. Of 14.
Yeah. So it's a bit more daunting to be like, I'm going to read this whole rule. Because, you know, like I've run games and it's like, read the rules? Absolutely not.
Yeah,
but
right. Yeah.
I can help you make a character, which is all we're doing today.
Yep. Right. I will know enough to deliver whatever experience we're looking to deliver this evening. Great. Yeah. Check. Let's rock and roll.
Yep.
Is that both? And maybe I should separate this into 2 questions, but I'm not going to, damn it. When you're sitting down to do a system or to do fiction or to do a character, are you someone who likes to nail down a mechanic, you know, or the mechanics or whatever, like the crunch, you know, to kind of inform your character? Or do you like, no, fiction first? Oh, I need to have this trope of this genre first, and that's the character. Or kind of how do you approach your creation? Are you someone who likes the fiction, or are you like, I need to figure out what the gameplay loop is, either for this character or for this system, and then we'll kind of roll from there?
So if I'm going to be in a one shot, I just try and think of like a character that'd be fun to play. Yeah. And then I'm like, I can chameleon into whatever rule play book, whatever, where I don't, whatever someone wants to pick, just pick your stuff first.
Yep.
I will pick a different playbook. It doesn't matter. I just have this personality.
Yeah, I'll make my own fun for 3 hours. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
I'm really okay. And if it's campaign or mini series, if I know the system, I'll like think of a person that'd be fun to play, and then I'll think of like, how can I do that with the rule set? I've been told a few times by people to like two power game, and I'm like, all right. And so then I will like put on math hat and power game, and then I'll be like, what kind of person have I made? So it's usually like a good mix of like, I have an idea, and I'm like, if I know the rules set, I'm like, well, I know the rules, let me do this. For the Apocalypse Keys game that I just played as of this recording like a few weeks ago, that one was like, I picked the playbook first, because I find for most games that are under PBTA or like a Blades in the Dark or a Blades in the Dark hack, like it's really easiest to look at the playbooks first and get ideas, because the playbooks don't dictate your personality, but they dictate a lot.
Yeah, they're very flavor forward, we'll say. Yeah.
And so it's in your best interest to just like lean into it, other than like be like, I want to play a preppy sunshine like yellow ball of joy, and it's like, I could pick any of these playbooks, but I have to do some work to like to really maneuver through here.
Yep, totally. So God, I chose the edgiest possible playbook. That doesn't work with this beautiful shoeless himbo that I have once again bimboed my way into. Oopsie daisies. All right. Is this a fun challenge, or is this maybe something I should just adjust? Yeah, totally. I want to go back a little bit. We've maybe mentioned once or twice that your day job is being a therapist. It's come up once or twice. I think one of the coolest parts about, especially the indie kind of tabletop scene, is there are a huge number of us, I'm not even going to say the majority, probably the majority, if not the strong majority, are not actors or professional improvisers or what have you. We all have our own weird things that we do in our day job or have done previously that we kind of bring to the space and bring to our maneuvering in it. So for you, especially at, being in a place where being online is loud and is a lot sometimes, and insert descriptors here, but also, again, we already talked about it, has a lot of interpersonal relationships, has a lot of, okay, I'm switching gears here, I'm doing this kind of project now, and I need to know what it takes for me to recenter myself, and a lot of using your brains and your feelings, which is, as I understand it, a lot of what therapists also trade in. So has that life experience and obviously ongoing professional experience, has that colored the way that you move through the space, or what have you identified or learned, or just what's your relationship, I guess, with your professional therapist side and the professional tabletop content creator side of things?
I would say the relationship is like this. Because of my work in games, I'm a better therapist, and because I'm a therapist, it makes me a better performer, designer, writer. So something that therapists and therapy doesn't talk about a lot is like, clients impact you back. There's like there's like a transfer there.
Yeah.
And it isn't that like their therapy is my therapy, but it helps you see things about yourself when they're talking about stuff. Yeah. And when you talk to them back and you're like going through the like processing with them, like you like realize parts of yourself, and then realizing parts of yourself, you get introspection. With introspection, you can be a better anything truly.
Yes.
But in this context, specifically like game stuff, and then working in game stuff, it's similarly like I can come in, and I am not anyone's therapist that I work with in games. Not your therapist.
Right.
Won't ever be your therapist.
Hard line.
If you're listening to this, I won't be your therapist either. I tell all my clients about it. Like, I'm like, I do like tabletop game stuff. If you happen to follow me, please unfollow me. I won't know if you follow. Like, I won't know if you secretly follow my TikTok. Please don't. But
right. But there are lines. There's a line here, and I'd like you to stay on this side, and you stay on this side. Thank you.
It isn't like I don't have those same skills to be compassionate when I'm like coming into a session and like someone is really like someone needs to. I've never had it happen in public, but like someone has like X card, or someone is like having a really bad day, or we're dealing with like there's something someone wants to convey along the lines of like how it is to struggle mentally or something.
Yeah, got it. Yeah.
It isn't like I don't have those same skills still. And it isn't that I wouldn't still hire consultants and editors for that sorts of work when it comes to like writing for sensitivity, but it's like I am a mental health professional. So, and I think I know a thing or two to help us like achieve this for this game, or to like write this sort of story, or to do this sort of performance. And so the two inform each other in this sort of like positive feedback loop where just it keeps going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Stop me if you've heard this before. Austin, you do a lot of stuff. But you are someone who is very visible, who is in on a lot of projects, and a lot of high level projects. Have recently written for MCDM. Again, I'm for the Deimos Academy, performed on a bunch of big channels all over the place. And but also you do have a day job also, right? You are a therapist, and you're standing in both worlds. So tabletop wise, what direction are you hoping things are going? What are your goals, if you have any? What are your hopes? What are your I don't think I'm going to do XYZ things, or I would like to do less of that, or I'd like to never do that ever again. What are you moving towards, if anything?
There's like other creative stuff I've looked into. Like I've written like test screenplays for gigs before, and I have like book idea. I have a comic script I've been writing since 2018. So like I have like a bunch of stuff, but like things I'd like to do in tabletop. I mean, it'd be cool to have a full-time job in tabletop or in games in general. But when it comes to stuff that I'm currently doing, it's like I really would like to be on Dropout. It'd be cool to be in the dome for something. That would be sick. Brennan Lee Mulligan, if you hear this, I would love to be in the dome.
Spoiler alert, you're not the only one who has expressed such desires or used this as a platform to reach out specifically to Sam Reich, to Brennan Lee Mulligan, etc., to pitch it. In fact, Brennan, if you're listening, you can also extend that my direction too. It will be a package deal, the two of us. Get us both on.
Like that would be pretty cool. I have a few adventure ideas I'd like to do. I'm really into dragons, if it wasn't clear. And so I have a few dragon ideas that I'd love to use for like a publisher, because I don't think they're like a full game on their own. And I've looked into doing just like adventures on various websites, or like using itch.io or something, but it's something I'd like to put in a book. And again, it's just one adventure, and it's not like a campaign, it's like an adventure. So like I'd love to do that for a company. I have two original ideas that are like hopefully focus after Kids in Capes is like wrapped up, because Kids in Capes is still in development right now. So I'm hoping when at least my part of Kids in Capes is wrapped up and it's on to like Hunters and Kickstarters and all the fun stuff when everyone else gets to look at it, and I don't have to stare at a Word document anymore. I hope that when that is wrapped up, I can focus on some ideas I have, because I want to do a journaling game.
Oh yeah, hell yeah!
And I want to make a party game. I have what I think is a really fun party game idea.
Oh, okay. We'll be keeping an eye out for that accordingly. Update the show descriptions. You started out as a performer, right? And started out kind of being in that space. I think a lot of people in the tabletop role-playing game space are in, at least in the indie level, are in a lane. They swerve every once in a while and they release a game, or they're like, oh yeah, and I'll appear on a couple friend streams here and there. But you are doing all the things all the time. But so you have a real, you got a real foothold in the design and the writing space as well as the performer space. So what was the process like, and what was the opportunity and kind of decision for you to say, oh cool, I'm having a lot of fulfillment performing, and oh, there's this other writing part that I quite like and I'd like to do more of, and here you are doing quite a lot more of it. So what was that process and kind of decision like for you?
I sent out a tweet, and it was, I would really like to write for a game one day, I think. I write poetry, and I've done some prose work. I've never written for a game, but it would be fun. My friend I mentioned, Adam Bass, who runs World Championship Gaming Co. Hi, Adam, if you ever hear this, thank you so much for everything. Adam gave me my first shot. I had never written for a game before, and for Adam's game, Cobwebs, which I think you can get PDFs of, but I don't know if it's in print anymore. I wrote one of the quick starts. It's pretty short. I think it's like a few hundred words.
Mm-hmm.
It was my first time. I wrote a quick start. It's this horror game. Not horror, it's like spooky.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun. And after I did that, and it was super, super fun, I put out another tweet. Like once it was done, and I got my little invoice check, and I was like, "Woo, I'm written for games."
Yeah.
I sent out another tweet. Like I had so much fun working on like this game for World Championship Gaming Co. because it like had just come out. It's like I'd love to do more. And Banana was on that project.
Got it. Yeah.
And Banana saw my tweet. Was like, we should make a game. And I was like, yeah, it was like social media. I was like, yeah, that'd be great one day. Love your work. I was like, this is like junk just happened. Like Banana, I came in and Banana was like one of the first game people I followed on Twitter because I saw like an article on them about Facebook. So Banana was like famous to me.
Yeah.
Like, this is so cool. I'm on the same game as them and they're making junk. Oh my God. They know me. They follow me. What's happening? This is so cool. Banana is in my DMs that afternoon. Like, when are you free to meet? And I'm like, this, again, I think it's like nothing. I think it's like Banana's going to give me some pointers.
Yep.
They're POC to POC, like this, like an upperclassman in the space to me, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm a new.
Which is still amazing, which is still like, wow, that is generous and wonderful. But like, it's one thing, and it's not, we're making a game together thing.
No, I was like, Banana wants to meet and is going to like give me pointers on like how to make a game and ins and outs and blah, blah, blah. That's cool. And Banana like fully is like has a game idea and like a pitch.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait, are you pitching to me to make this game? I was like, yeah, do you want to? And I was like, you could have, yes, anything you want to do. Do you need me to get you a coffee? I know we're digital.
Could Venmo you? Is that fine?
And that was really it. I owe a lot to Adam for giving my first shot, and I owe the world to Banana. Banana, if you hear this, I love you. Banana has given me so much mentoring, so much friendship, so much love, so has opened so many doors for me. Literally, when we've been in person together, and figuratively, has like introduced me to someone, and has like and that was it. Like Banana's like, here's Austin. They're great. And like his just been like an incredible supporter, person, human friend. Anyone listening to this, if you don't know Banana Chan, I'm sorry that you don't, but you should go learn yourself and find them on social media, Banana Chan Games. I promise you, they've worked on something you love.
Yep. Check the show notes. It'll all be in there. Go check it out. Yep.
Like Banana's in Target. Banana has games in, like, come on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. A question that I always love, but I feel like we don't get to often in these is who has made a difference for you in the tabletop space? Mm-hmm. Obviously, we've talked about several members already, not just in terms of, hey, I want to make sure I shout this person out for helping me, for opening that door, for giving me that shot. But is there anyone who you look to, I don't want to say as like a hero, because that's kind of a problematic, way to look at.
You say you're a hero, you're so yeah.
Or you could sing it. Singing somehow feels more authentic than just calling someone a hero. But, is there someone or several someones who you kind of look to and say, yeah, I like the way I've learned a lot about comporting myself, about how to do work, about how to be creative, how to shitpost with great efficacy in the space that you want to shout out, or just kind of reflect on and share some of the lessons that you've learned from these wise elders to anyone who might be listening.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've said banana several times. Banana. But also for sure, who I mentioned earlier, Jess, who runs Utopia, Jess is also incredible. Jess does do like writing and editing and stuff, but also does a lot of like production stuff. Mm-hmm. If there's like live actual play stuff you're seeing, like there's a good chance either Jess had a hand in it or taught the people that are producing for it. I don't have Jess's eye, but we'll like watch shows together. Sometimes just like, oh, that's my like scene swipe technique. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, Jess, but I believe you. So Jess produces for Strix U as well. Mm-hmm. So they've just been an incredible friend, person, human. So much love to me. Just actually, as of this recording, had like just left from visiting me over the weekend.
Oh, cool.
There's someone I will like go to when something's going on, either with like a work question or like if like someone wants to work with me or hire me, and I'm like, hey, have you heard of this person? Because Jess has been here longer than me, and just like
so valuable. Even
though we work in like different spheres in terms of like our skill sets, like you still just meet a lot of people. Like the industry isn't that big, and it's not that old either in terms of like the level it's at, right, is really, from what I've been told, it's really like 2018, 2019 started taking off.
Yeah.
And then during lockdown, funny enough, when everyone, like, when they had this big influx into the space, kind of ballooned it into what it is now.
Yeah.
And it's only just now trying to, like, get its sea legs and, like, how does this industry actually support the people in the industry? Because it's not that big with that much money in it, sort of situation.
Nope. Is there anything that you want to talk about that we didn't talk about? Anything that you're like, oh, hey, actually, I want to expand on this, or you didn't ask me about this thing, which I'd really like to talk about?
I say there are two things. The one thing is the longest stream I've been on is actually, it's a very small one. It's called Mind and Martyr, and it's on the French Roll Dice channel. I just have a lot of fun there. It's not like the most visible stream I'm on. I think it's like a time slot thing mixed with, like, I know Prince Roll Dice has been going through some like restructuring. So like we've been running while there's restructuring, but like,
oh yeah, see, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that they were still doing stuff while they were
yeah, exactly. So a lot of people just haven't been checking because it's like running. Did you know while being on a road while it's under construction is sometimes hard.
Sometimes it doesn't go anywhere. Turns out the road just kind of stops and you just keep going.
It's been really fun. And then the other thing that I always say anytime I get the chance is just remind people, your DM, GM, facilitator, storyteller, game runner is not your therapist. They're not your therapist. Please don't treat them like a therapist. Please don't expect them to be your therapist. If you feel like your game is being therapeutic, that's great. What you should actually do is make a little journal from all your game notes and go find a therapist and talk to them about, like, I was playing this game and we did this and it felt good, like it was therapy. So I felt like I should talk to a therapist about why it felt good.
Right. Or felt very bad. And why am I so angry and upset by this, even though my boundaries were not specifically pushed or veiled or whatever?
Please do one of those things. Please
Listen to the recent Reckless Talk episode with Hillary Davis, licensed therapist, to talk about the intersection of tabletop and mental health.
Incredible. That's really cool.
Austin, I have some bad news for you. And it's bad news for a couple reasons. The first reason that it's bad news is that the second thing I'm about to tell you means that we've had a wonderful, productive, elucidating, just a joyous, laughter-filled conversation. And it is winding down.
That's fair.
But the second thing that I'll tell you is that, unfortunately for you and your eternal soul, that means it is time for the Reckless Talk lightning round. And the Reckless Talk lightning round is a gauntlet that many have gone through. Some have survived. It is the same questions that I asked to every single person who's ever been on this show in the same order. There are no wrong answers other than like a lie, just because that's kind of lame. But it can be a one-word thing. It can be I have a 15-minute long story that I'd like to tell you in response to this. Or it could be, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. All valid. It is your space. It is your time to answer whatever however you are called to answer.
Okay.
Are you ready for the lightning round?
Oh yeah.
Ooh, coming with a lot of confidence. We'll see how it turns out for you. Question 1. Is your glass half full or half empty?
Half full.
What excites you creatively, spiritually, and or emotionally?
Margot Robbie.
I forgot to also say I try to restrain myself from commenting on any of these, and that it felt necessary for me to give that qualifier in response to that. What does not excite you creatively, spiritually, and or emotionally?
David Zaslav, the current head of Warner Brothers Discovery.
What is your favorite sound?
There's a movie called Kikujiro. It's a very, very good movie. But the point of this is, in the movie, soundtrack is done by Joe Hisaishi. A lot of people know Joe Hisaishi. He does the arrangements for most of the Ghibli projects, especially if they're directed by Miyazaki. Any of the like classic Ghiblis you may think of, he arranged them for sure. He did the arrangement for Kikujiro as well. And in that, there is a song called Summer. In that arrangement, there is this like, I don't know. Again, I mentioned earlier, I haven't done music. I don't know if it's like melody or chord or what, like on piano, but it's like this like 3-note, like that is like very, very good. I listen to it the first and last day of summer every year.
Oh, lovely.
I listen to it throughout the year, but like it's like a thing.
Yeah.
It's Very, very good. Kikujiro is about a retired Yakuza member trying to take a young boy to his mother for summer break.
Mm.
And they have a whirlwind adventure along the way.
Lovely. I will also link to that song if I can find it, also in the show notes. What sound do you hate?
I can't stand the sound of like plastic and styrofoam being opened.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
It's like like the bad plastic, not like the good sturdy plastic like toys are in. I mean like the rubbery plastic that like would sometimes be on school lunches and you gotta like rip it off. Like that makes my skin crawl.
What is your favorite word?
Kawabummer.
What is your least favorite word?
I don't much care for the word tibia.
What tabletop role-playing game and or D&D monster or antagonist have you never faced or run that you would love to?
I want to run Tiamat.
What is your favorite adventure of all time? And this can be certainly a tabletop role-playing game adventure, one you read, you played in, you wrote, you watched, or it could be an adventure movie. 1999's Mummy is the go-to example on this podcast, but whatever that means to you.
I think it was actually a pretty fun time. I just read the Percy Jackson books for the first time at the behest of somebody, and shout out to my friend Liv. And so I had a good time with those. It was actually quite fun. Favorite is hard because I just forgot every single adventure ever.
Yep.
But that's something that I read recently that I liked. That was an adventure.
Yeah, totally. What is your favorite tabletop role-playing game character of all time? And again, this can be an NPC. It could be a character you've played. It could be someone else's character. Could be one you watched. Could be whatever it means to you.
It's so funny that I just mentioned them because it's going to be Liv. Their handle is Live in a Day, Live, and IN a Day. Liv's character on Strix U, Anaya. We have recorded some more work for Strix U. That's probably the most Lexi wants me to say. I don't know. Yeah. Lexi, if you're listening, you're listening to this, Lexi, I apologize.
Lexi, you know how to DM me if you need me to edit this out post fact. Let me know. You know, you know how it goes. We got you. Don't worry.
But Liv's character everyone's character is great, but I think Liv's character goes through some stuff that is just like, oh my gosh, I wish I could have been part of whatever talks that Liv and Lexi must have been having for this character arc.
Austin.
Yes.
Final question. What gives you hope?
I really like watching my garden be alive. I have like this really huge garden, me and my partner, and it's like we have a house that's on a corner, and it like wraps around like the whole house because it's like a corner lot, and it's on on a hill, not like up on a hill like a mansion or something. Like
it's not a trope. You're not like looking down at those beneath you.
No, it's like up. It's like on a steep end grade that was absolute hell to mow. So we turned it into a garden, and it's really fun to see it like there's pollinators and there's like a bunch of birds because there's a bunch of bugs, and we do have bird feeders and stuff. It's just like really cool to wake up in the morning and see stuff doing stuff. Yeah, it was huge for like during lockdown because like there's not a lot of people doing anything. Like you'll see a lot of people walking, but like seeing the outside world do stuff, even like on a slow day, is like very, I don't know. There's a certain like air to it that's like that's cool. Like we like did something and it's like benefiting other stuff. But what I think is neat about it is like it benefits like these animals greatly, right? Like there's like a little ecosystem in our garden now. But, like they don't know, right? They're just like they can't conceptualize that we did it. Birds are arguable because the birds will come out of the trees and like hang out on the telephone line when they see me come out to refill the bird feeder. So like
very cute and good.
There's like a learned behavior there of like when this person walks around and then goes away and doesn't bother us, there's food. Yeah. And so that is pretty cool. And it's like in a way of like when I get to perform or write or like be on a show like this or be on my show or like do anything to like put fun out there and enjoyment out there, like I don't know who will like pick up that adventure or read that book or play that game. Some people will tell me. Most people I'll never have any idea. I'm the animal in that situation. Like, I like put something out there that's like helping people, but I won't know. Not helping people. I don't want to be on like a pedestal, but I'm putting something out there that's like affecting people's
I think
lives.
It's very reasonable. Yeah. The joy is being brought unto the world and entertainment through the stuff you're doing. And that feels like that fits under the umbrella to me.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things that's like, that's pretty cool that like,
yeah.
My garden is my way of like being reminded every day. Like, we all do that. Like, you do it with this, or like whoever's listening to it probably does it with something they do. We all put enjoyment out there in some way, shape, or form, be it we're aware of it or not, and like affect each other. And I think that's like a really amazing thing that we get to do every day as people. That we get to do that, and we get at least I get the warm fuzzies. Maybe some people it's like existential dread to be like, oh, I don't know, but it's fun for me to consider. Like, I get to do that every day. And I am lucky enough that I can have the cognitive awareness that to know I do that and to be like thankful for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Usually, this is where I would go on a whole diatribe, going back to the lightning round drama of talking about congratulations for having survived this harrowing journey. But that was just too lovely a sentiment for me to talk too much over. Austin, thank you so dearly for being here, for sharing yourself, and for sharing all of your expertise. It is yet another episode where I wish this was a 4-part series and each of those parts were 2 hours. I feel like I could have talked to you about all of this and more for quadruple the time. But as a reward for having made it on the other side of the Reckless Talk gauntlet of Lightning Round, could you please tell everyone who you have been, where they can find you, and how they might best be able to support you?
Yeah, I'm Austin. My pronouns are he, they, she. I was going to say I've been because I'm used to doing outros for shows, but I'm Austin. I've been Austin.
Yeah.
My pronouns are he, they, she.
Also would not be the first person to have just gone into like rote memorization of an outro or intro.
You can find me anywhere and maybe found publicly on the internet at Sailor Austin. It's at Sailor SET Austin. If you don't find that means I don't want you to find me. Stop looking. I'm an award-winning game writer, performer, and friend. Yeah, I said all the words.
Yeah, all the things that could be done in gaming, you have gotten awards nominated for.
I do those. Other than that, best ways to support me, find me on social media. I don't know which one you use, dear listener, but please find me and follow me. I'm doing my best to do a little bit of something on each one. You might see posts that are the exact same. Give me a break. I'm one person.
Don't say shit about it is the moral of the story.
If you're on more than one and you see them in both places, be cool and just like both, okay?
Yeah. Then you have found the beautiful magic Easter egg of, wow, this is a message especially for me. I saw it twice and you have won. You have not caught us in anything. Nope.
But that's the best ways for me right now. I'm doing a lot of stuff that's under either an NDA or like a very cool, be cool contract for pre-recording this. And it hasn't been announced yet. So I don't have much to say that I'm doing actively other than like I'm on Mind and Martyr on Mondays on Friends Roll Dice if you want to know where to catch me on a live show. But other than that, it's a lot of writing and NDA stuff. Kids in Capes is coming eventually. I'm not the publisher. I don't know when it's coming out. But Kids in Capes is coming. I'm working on that. You all know that. That's public information. Be on the lookout for more news about Kids in Capes.
And at the end of the day, just go follow them on social media.
Please.
And I'm sure that Austin will scream as soon as they are able to about all the things that they are on.
Y'all should really keep an eye out for this fall. You should be following me and keep an eye out for this fall.
That's a threat.
That's a threat. You should keep an eye out for me this fall, threateningly.
Austin, thank you so much. It has been just a joy. And thank you, dear listeners, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.